Hello, everybody. Good to have you here. Sorry we're 3 minutes late, but we are here. And today it is, we keep going with our series of suicide prevention topics. And today it is Spiritism and suicide prevention. We do have a special guest, Edir Paixao. However, he is in a work related commitment, and he'll be here with us probably in 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, he'll be here and he can share his knowledge working all those years against suicide prevention. Okay. So once he's joined us, I will give a little bit of a introduction of him to you, and um, and we move on. But meanwhile, as you can see, we do also have another special guest, our dear Elsa. She's she's here in London, and she her agenda allowed her to be with us today. So I will start to welcome Elsa. How are you, my dear?
Hi, Stevan. Hi, Silvia. Hi, Charles. I am very happy in the most beautiful countryside in the world, that is Surrey, England, United Kingdom. And I'm very happy to be here once again. Since I am here in the UK, it's easier to participate sometimes in spiritual light lives. Thank you for being with us. I saw some Maria Rene from Bolivia here, a dear friend. We have in common our dear Edir, Professor Edir, that you come late, as you said, and Kira and others that will be with us, listening, participating, writing in the chat, and saying their thoughts, their comments that will enrich our life. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, my dear. Good evening, Miss Gibbons.
Hello, good evening. It's nice to be here again and be with all of you. Hi, Charles. Hi, Stephen. Nice to have you, Elsa. We miss you. And today it's a very special subject that we are going to talk about. It's something that a lot of us, have experience with, unfortunately. So let's hope that seeing things through the light of Spiritism, we'll be able to help ourselves and also to help, the people who will be listening to us. So welcome. Hi, Laurie and Kira, Renee, and nice to have you all with us. And, let's we waiting for Edir to come and join us, which will be very interesting. So,
Okay, good. Thank you, my dear. And bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Steven. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Indeed, it's a very interesting topic, a lot to say in order to make all what we can to prevent this to occur. Bringing today more focus on the Spiritist philosophy, which is basically a life philosophy, giving a meaning to the life. And this is one of the key factors which helps a lot for suicide prevention.
Yeah, yeah. Good, good. So again, another important topic on this month we dedicate to suicide prevention, which is the numbers are climbing every single day elsewhere, especially in the UK. We can see a lot of people um, taking their lives. But anyway, so spiritism and suicide prevention. I would say this is a excellent marriage because when you as you dig in the spiritism teachings, as you get to know more about spiritism, as you know more about how is life beyond our corporeal life, more away from suicide thoughts you will be. You will see that spiritism is able to provide you answers, and answers that you by yourself will 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 find the answers for all the questions you have in your mind. Nobody gonna give you a ready-made answer, but by your efforts, by your uh, 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 research, you will answer those questions. And since we are with a good connection with Elsa, looks like her screen is good. Elsa, allow me to start with you, my dear. How do you think spiritism and suicide prevention are connected?
First, first of all, we are immortal beings. That is one something that no one can change. Never. That is absolutely real. So we continue living after the death of the physical body. So first of all, we are spirits. So we cannot end our life without having consequences. So Spiritism is a promised consoler and bring to us the clarifying all the points that we have issues in our life, especially regarding reincarnation, life goes on, and etc. So suicide or suicidal people or commit suicide is something totally against God's laws, the creation. Only the Creator have the in his agenda when we will leave the physical body in order to continue progressing, evolving, learning spiritual world, and practice in physical body again the next reincarnation. So when we or us study the Spirit's book, the Gospel, Heaven and Hell, especially Heaven and Hell, the second part, when Kardec interviewed spirits in the mediumship meetings in the Parisian Society before write Heaven and Hell, all the research and the communication from beyond, from the suicidals, from other spirits in different situations, is written there. So it's the first acknowledgement that the life goes on and the death is not the end of our life.
Yeah,
It's
good,
okay.
good, good. Yeah, thank you, my dear. Thank you. And for you, Charles, what is the most valuable teachings Spiritism can bring to us?
The most valuable teaching that Spiritism is bringing to us is that first we have a soul, as Elsa told it. Second, that this soul is immortal. So it means that when we die, only the body is dying and the soul is separated from the body. So this gives us a much bigger perspective. It allows us to see the earthly problems and difficulties we have as being temporary, as also being, how to say, we see them, we see them with much less importance from this point of view. And the other element is that when most of the people who commit suicide, they don't want to end their life. They just want to end their pain and their suffering. So, by the fact that the soul is immortal, if, for instance, we have a pain which is a moral pain, it looks clear that the suicide will not resolve the problem because the moral pain will go together with the soul. So, it gives us a lot of incentive, a lot of reasons to try to overcome all these difficulties. And one thing is also very clear in Spiritism body of knowledge is the fraternity, the mutual help, and so often it's a kind of a taboo. Most of the people, they think they are alone, they will not overcome. It's not good to ask for help. And Spiritist body of knowledge is saying totally the opposite. Spiritists are here to help, totally with full disinterestedness, just to help, without judgment, without anything. So it is allowed to ask for help, and that's most also a big factor for preventing suicide, when the people do not feel alone and they feel that they have someone trustable that can come with a hurt and do whatever is possible in order to alleviate their problems or their pains. So I think all this, plus what I told at the beginning, the Spiritism gives us a meaning of life. We can understand why we are going through difficulties. We can understand also that the difficulties and the pains or the suffering we are having are here not to punish us, but to help us, to motivate us to find resources, to seek the power of our soul in order to overcome these difficulties. Yes, we can, just to imitate some known political man. We know that anyhow, we will evolve. Whatever the difficulties are, we will find a solution. And these difficulties are helping us in order to overcome, to see the adversity as an opportunity and not as a punishment or a pain.
Yes, yes, this is this is important, and at the same time, it is keen as we will talk to Edir Paixão. He is one of the specialized in suicide prevention. He works. He's a firefighter, so he works in the suicide prevention unit, and he says there are three states when we're talking about suicide, which is let me check here. One it is the prevention, it is the intervention, it is the post-evention. I think that's it, Silvia. Post-evention, yeah. Post-event, happen after the event, and he will dig in to give us the details. In terms of intervention, I clearly see, uh, as you said, Charles, who commits the suicide, they they just want to stop that pain, stop that moment of no way, they were nowhere to go. And and at the same time, it is important to remember we do have a lots of non-organization entities available to talk. But the point is, why someone who is in that stage, if you approach, they say, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Those questions are valuable, and um, I hope Edir turns up soon and give us his perspective. And for you, my dear Gibbons, uh, what's the value of life? Why why some people see bitterness and no way out? Why sometimes they are blind, then they cannot do anything?
Well, I think, reading some of the comments made there, we are not Catholics, but we are against suicide because of the explanations that the spirits bring us. Also, I think one thing that's very important for you who are listening is Spiritism doesn't say you can't do anything. Spiritism doesn't forbid you to do anything. It only teaches you that you are free to do, it's your choice to do whatever you want, but you need to be prepared for the consequences of what you do. And I think one of the, thinking about life is the most precious thing that we have. It's interesting that, we talk about suicide, and we find that in the poorest countries in the world, where people hardly have food, where they have to walk miles to get some water, you don't really see much suicide because the fight for life is so strong there that very few, I mean, I never seen any statistic as such, but you see people fighting for life all the time. And I think it's very much in the modern states in the West that, we feel so sad that we need to end our lives because we live for ourselves. And I think, one of the things that Spiritism explains is there are many more people in the spiritual world than there are here. And every incarnation, we fight for it. We work for it. It's not, oh, you're going to, oh, I want to. No. When we are in the spiritual world, we have to work really hard to come to this life. So it's very important because we every moment of our lives, life is precious. And only when you have, like someone have a terminal disease and, the doctor say, oh, maybe you have 6 months to live, most people will do anything to get better. And I think that's this sometimes this contrast that we have, that very healthy, well-to-do people even feel that their life is not worth anything. And I think we need to learn that life is everything. Everything is precious, is the most precious thing we have. And I think one of the things that Spiritism teaches us, as Elsa pointed out in the beginning of that conversation, was that we are immortal beings. We do not die. You can, a person who commits suicide may lose their body, their physical body will die, but their spirit will live on and will live forever. And I think some part of the pain is that you will remember the moment of death again and again, like in a loop. That's where the suffering is many times. Also, on our next life, and you will want to become back, the new body will show the consequences of the way the life was taken. We will be born with many problems, physical problems. So I think, we need to learn about these things because it's, you know about it, then you can make the choice. But then you know what you're choosing. I think that is very important. Having said that, I think the person who commits suicide, and I feel that this, with very few exceptions, in a situation that they cannot see any way out, something happening them is, and they are, in a state of depression, this black hole that the more you try to come out of it, the deeper you get. And like the point that Charles said, um, we we do we don't want to end our lives. We want to end the pain, but it gets very confusing. And sometimes when people are very, very um, in that state of depression, or that they feel that life has no meaning for them, it's sometimes it's almost impossible. Anybody can come and say, oh no, you're doing this, it'll be all right, things will be all right, because you cannot see it. It's this darkness, it's this dark tunnel. And the more, it's like being in a deep well, and the more you try to come out of it, the deeper you seem to go. So kind of a device people will not see, because they cannot see any light. And I think, that I think probably Edir will talk about, because he has got experience. But I think we need to, there are some points that the person will say, there are some points that will show that person is thinking about it in a more serious way. Like they will be talking about ending their lives. There is no meaning. They don't feel that they can do anything. They're not worthy anything. So, some of them will abuse substance like alcohol, like drugs. They will feel angry, something happened that they didn't like. And we need to have some resilience. And I think for the people around them, it's have to pay attention to these things. It's very, very sad. And it happens all the time. I think every 45 seconds in this planet, a person will take their own lives. And in the last 2 months, I myself was in the station to take the train, and I couldn't, because the station was closed, because someone had taken their own lives. So it happens, and it's very, very sad. And the people who are left bereft, not only with the pain of loss, but also, in many times people accusing themselves of not, why didn't I see it? Couldn't I have seen it? But, like you said, Stevan, sometimes said, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm all right. So, and I think one point very quickly, just to conclude here, that we have to that we as a spiritists understand is the spiritual influence on the person. So if you start having very negative thoughts, very sometimes it's not your own. Sometimes it's the people who, some of the spiritual influence that we have. So that's one of the things to really try to think our thoughts, to think positive, to really feel that, make sure that we feel worthy, and ask for help. I think ask for help. I'm feeling really low, I'm feeling really down. Can you help me? And what you think, and I think this is important as well for the person who is in that situation, to ask for help. For, of course we can't prevent everything, but I think at least we need to be aware of the things around us. And just one thing very, very briefly as well, that unfortunately, here in England now, with this new government that we have, a Labour government now, and one of the first things they are discussing is to actually liberate assisted dying, which is being every now and then we have this discussion in Parliament, and so far people have voted against. But that this new government was one of their ideas to vote for free assisted dying, which is actually euthanasia. And, the situation will be terrible because, once you open a little break in the dam, it will just break and it'll be a flood. And also, if you see the situation that happens now in Canada, it's a nightmare. Someone who feels depressed, they want to go and kill themselves. In Holland, it's the same thing. And, we cannot, I'm started thinking, having a campaign here to revert the stupidity of assisted dying and allow people to commit suicide because they had an accident or because they don't feel happy enough. And really, it's a big turn. And that's why I miss our queen so much, because her faith and her determination, I think, held us, into a good path. And it's very sad that they wanted to change it, because it's just the beginning of a nightmare, isn't it? Because then we can come a time, you're 50 years old, you don't have money to pay your pension, so you can die now. It's so easy to turn very, very quickly. So, just one point that worries us.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you. Hi.
I have a lot of comments here in our chat box. This is good. Good evening, Amy. Good evening, Leandro. Good evening, Lauren. But our special guest has just arrived. Edir is with us. Good evening. How are you,
Hello,
sir?
friend.
I hope you're okay. I
Can
hope
you listen
this
to me?
moment.
Can you see me fine?
Yeah, everything's perfect. Just perfect.
Can I add some comments on Mrs. Gibbons' speech?
Yeah, please. Feel free.
First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm my name is Edir Paixao, and currently I'm a lieutenant colonel, because here in Brazil I'm a firefighter. But here in Brazil, most of firefighters, they are military. Yeah, and I have worked for 26 years as a firefighter in Brazil. The firefighters, they put out fires, of course, but they also work as lifeguards, and in suicide attempts. We are called, in ambulance and so on. And I had a chance to talk to so many people in bridges, in towers, in buildings. They were threatening, they were attempting suicide. And thanks God and to the group, the work group, we managed to rescue those people. And I would like to say that we totally agree with Mrs. Gibbons when she says that one person who wants to die by suicide, in fact, indeed, this person wants to kill pain, to kill the suffering. This person is in despair. And we study suicidology. I'm a member of the IASP, the International Association for Suicide Prevention, and I'm also a member of the International Federation for Psychology Emergency. And we have studied a lot, scientifically, the suicide. And most of the researchers, they really agree with that. Even they would call him the father of suicidology, who is the psychologist Edwin Schneiderman from the United States. In his book, The Suicidal Mind, edition from 1996, last century, in the page 133, he's going to say that the most common cognitive state of a suicidal mind is ambivalence. The person is going to oscillate between willing to die and willing to live, because in fact this person wants to kill the pain. When the person thinks there is no exit, the pain is unbearable, this person is going to think, wow, there is only one way. If I kill myself, I kill the pain. When the person goes to attempt the suicide, comes the most powerful instinct we have, which is survival, the instinct of survival. And we're going to have a fight, and the oscillation, the ambivalence, So it's worth it to intervene, to help people, to work with prevention, and with humanity. That's one of the reasons why I am not for euthanasia, like Mrs. Gibbons has said, because this pain, those suffering, they're going to go away. They're going to pass, Those people are going to recover, and most of people, look, most of people who have rescued, they have looked for us after, they have searched us at the fire department to say, thank you, because you have helped me, because you were there, because you took me out from that window or that bridge. So those, this gratitude, those talks, narratives, they're very strong for us to trust our work and to fight for life. I would like to share this with you, and I would like to finish here this first part, of my talk, saying that I have studied the suicide scientifically, but spirituality is also studied scientifically. And even if you do not have a scientific background, but if you have your faith, if you believe there is something more, beside this material world, your faith, your belief is going to help you against suicide, to maintain, to protect your life. So if you have your spirituality, it's a protective factor. It's good for you and for the others, because our actions are going to have an impact in people around us, friends, family, and there is a phenomenon called theta effect. People can imitate the suicidal action, but there is other effect named Papageno effect, which is a good imitation. People who know that someone attempted suicide, had suicidal ideas, and overcame those crises, they can imitate, and know that suicides are preventable, like the World Health Organization is going to tell us. So I would like to end here my first talk, and I'm here to share with you, to listen to you, and I'm very honored and happy to be here and to make part, because as a firefighter, our mission is saving lives. I'm very, very happy to be here, and I'm also a person who believes, in spirituality and in the Spiritist doctrine. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Actually, you can call me Silvia.
Silvia. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Silvia, did you know that there is Jenny Bolland, a suicidologist from Liverpool? She is the head coach of Jenny's Place. It's a center connected to your health system, and she leads, a group of people who work on suicide prevention for men. Only for men, because men, she told us when she was here in Fortaleza City, Brazil, last year, she told us that under 50 years, the first cause of deaths in England currently is suicide. So this is very shocking, if I can say. We really need to work, for suicide prevention. And I think you were very happy in your talk when you said, if I come, no, we're going to liberate euthanasia. We're going to liberate people to have the system to die by suicide. We're going to breach the wall. And step by step, we're going to have this wider. And this is not good, because we know that the suffering is going to go away and people can recover. Of course, there is the terminal, people who are, they are very old, they have a very severe disease. But for this, we have something very interesting named in Portuguese would say cuidados paliativos, palliative care. How would say this in English? Silvia, could you help me?
Palliative.
It's palliative care. It's the same.
Palliative care,
We work with Dr. Peter Fennick, who is one of the great exponents of this palliative care. And, of course, against suicide. I think there is a lot of work to do because it is very serious, actually, the question of suicide, especially among young men. Really, there were girls as well, but mostly. Especially I think 3 years ago, I think 2000. I can't remember exactly now. I think it was 2015. We had 275 suicides in the underground. 275 people. Can you imagine? It's like one a day in the underground.
That's too much. That's too much.
And,
can I know, excuse me, Silvia, can I know if you have mechanical barriers, barriers, fences, to avoid people to reach, the metro, the train? Do you have this there?
Well, there is a lot of places. There is the Samaritans. There's some other organizations that people can call and talk.
That's really important.
Great work. But also, I think, as spiritists, we need to really start opening up some conversation, because I think a lot of, not talking about the pain, but also, life is finished anyway, I'll die and that's it. But, when you learn that life is not ending, you remember, and you have the consequence even in your next life. And I think that Spiritism is so important for all of us, Charles and Elsa and Stevan, that we are here in this conversation, because then whatever the person chooses, because like Spiritism doesn't say, oh, you cannot do anything, you needed to learn how to live with the consequence. Then if you have a choice, you know what you're choosing. I think that's the main thing. Give the person the choice, because I know that sometimes when the person gets into that point that life is not worth living, and you get into this black hole, and the harder you try to come out, the deeper you go in, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to reach a person in that state. And you're probably seeing a lot of situations. So I think we needed to have a look at the certain points, like the World Organization, Health Organization, have some recognizing warning signs that we should have a look at. Even if the person says, I'm fine, but they completely withdraw from the family, or they're very angry or something, so there are ways for us as well to be able to reach out and help. Sorry, I'm talking too much.
Yeah, no.
Friends, could I share something? We have just finished a ceremony here. That's the reason I got late. I ask your pardon. And that was the 50 times we have taught the suicide attempt intervention course for public safety professionals here in Brazil. We have been in Europe, in Coimbra City, Portugal. We have also been to Bolivia, in La Paz capital, Santa Cruz de la Sierra City, all the series, Buenos Aires, teaching, sharing, learning, And one of the things we teach for those professionals who are going to go to face a real suicide attempts is we need to keep in mind the three strategies. First of all, compassion, because we see many of us sometimes are very rude, cruel, and so on. And in public safety, at least unless in Brazil, people sometime, who work there are going to deal with violence. Sometimes they're going to be, rude too because of the context in the environment. So we need compassion, to work on suicide prevention. And we need hope. There is an experience we can easily find in the internet that they have procedure with mice. They have put a mouse inside of the water to swim. And they have put other mouse, and take out the mouse of the water and put the mouse in the water again, and go there, take out the mouse of the water 2 or 3 times. And they would compare the time the mouse would be swimming in the water, currently, this experience would not be ethical, would not be permitted, but it was done in the past, But in spite of the fact it was a cruel experience, but it brings to us a very interesting outcome, which is those mice, no, the mouse who was put in the water and was not take out, would die in minutes. The other type of mouse who would be put in the water and take out and put again 2-3 times would swim for hours because of hope, because the mouse was expecting to be taken out again. I ask you to look it up in the internet, please, to read by yourself. There were some mice that they were swimming for 60 hours. There was one mouse that was swimming for 81 hours, more than 3 days after he died. The mouse died. This is the power of hope. This is very interesting. We teach compassion, hope, and first of all, connection. To connect, a person needs other person. We are social beings, social creatures, and to have this connection, we use a word here, maybe used to name it rapport. Maybe it's French, Kempf. Maybe it's a French word, my friend, rapport. To connect to people, to look in the eye, to show our humanity, to show sometimes our vulnerability. I remember Jung, Carl Gustav Jung, when he thought we can study all of the techniques, all of the theories, but when we want to touch a human soul, we need to be simply another human soul. Also, connection between two human beings, among human beings, is so important. I'm going to say it again. Compassion, hope, and connection are 3 words that we have been teaching. And here in Brazil, Silvia, Charles, Stevan, Elsa, we have formed many interventors for suicide attempts. All of them in their works have succeeded 100%. We know that, of course, the decision is the victim. It's a victim decision. But when the professional is prepared, has trained, understand what is suicide and how we can have a good prevention and intervention, the probability that we succeed to rescue this person is going to be very high. And happily, we have succeeded. From 2017, when we started this work, up to date, 100%, of our interventions. So it's a very strong statistics, numbers that are very positive, my point of view. I would like to share this with you.
That's wonderful. This is wonderful. Good.
Charles, rapport is a French word. Could you help me?
Yes. Rapport, relation.
Very nice. Very nice. Any of you would like to tell me how would you have rapport with a person in crisis? Because what happens? We have our reason, we have our mind and our capability to think reasonably, but we also have our emotions, our instincts. And when a person is in crisis, we have read, in papers that the person is going to become very emotional. Any of you would teach us or say, what kind of strategy we use, to help those people? I have some here, but I would like to listen to you, because this is a wonderful moment to share, knowledge with people who study, who think, and mainly about this very important theme, subject. Could you share with us any tip of advice for having connection, rapport with a person in crisis?
Well, it starts being kind, smiling, proposing the hand,
Good.
clearly proposing help,
Listening.
and listen to what the person is saying, without any judgment.
Without any
And
judgment. This is a hard part, but we have to train. If you train, we learn.
absolutely, yes. And so makes whatever we can so that the person feels some brotherhood in ourselves. So that the
That
person does not
that's
feel alone, that the person feels with someone which is here ready to do whatever is possible to help the person. Mm.
these are, I totally agree. These are strategies that we have to train to use. Here, one of the most powerful strategies we use, mainly in real suicide attempts in public places, is active listening. Active listening for us. There are many types of active listening, not many, but some different types of active listening. For us, active listening is the type of listening that we make sure that this person who we are talking to is being listened truly, the true listening. And we use some strategies like paraphrasing, talking about the ideas and the story of life of the victim, of the person in crisis. Because sometimes you want to say, hey, I have suffered more than you, and I'm here alive. No, without judgment and without comparisons. Because for me, I could manage my pain, my life, but for that person, it's a different person, a different creature, different human being. So, without comparisons and talking about this person's story, narratives, so listening first. We also use the technique of reflecting, mirroring. Yeah, when here we have public suicide attempts, sometimes a person is sitting, on a bridge, and comes a firefighter or a policeman, and this guy is with a uniform. That means authority, and is standing, and sometimes we are in a higher level. And this is symbolic. It is going to show I'm superior to you. What we teach, to kneel down, to have the eyes at the same level, to show to the person, we are equal. I'm wearing this uniform, but I'm a human being like you are. It has showed a very positive interaction and rapport, creating rapport with the victims. We also use I message. I message we use in the sense that sometimes people are gonna say the world is cruel, people are cruel, or maybe you want to listen to someone, to show this compassion, this attention, and say, no, you're gonna find your help in some place. No, I'm here, and I'm here to listen to you. Truly, you can talk. It doesn't matter the time. I'm gonna be here patiently. With patience, listen to you truly. You can trust me now, and you can open your heart. So I will listen to you. I'm not gonna say the world people. No, I'm here, and I'm gonna listen to you. And if I find a way to help this person, of course there are limitations for that. There are limits. But for example, we had a problem here with a man who had lost the guard of the children. He was without job. He was without money. He had problems with alcohol, and his ex-wife, went to the justice to be with the power of the children. This guy entered in despair. It was a trigger for him, and he went to a bridge. And he said, "I had no money. I have no money now, and I had not. I have no job. I have no wife, and my wife took away my children. So what is left? Nothing." And we were talking to him in Brazil. We have a public health system, but we also have lawyers who work for the government, and they can help people without money for free. Okay, the person is going to pay not. Of course, the government is going to pay for that, but the person who needs, justice, legal procedures, can access this for free. This guy didn't know. When we told him, when we explained that to him, he passed to calm down, to understand. And this guy, with the hope to be, in contact with his children again, got out alive from this bridge. You know, with the listening and knowing how to help this person, so it's really interesting. Many cases we had here in Brazil, and we also use this. If I know a way, that I can help this person without compromise, without being out of my limits, I will help this person. It's interesting. And we also use minimum encouragements when you are listening to this person. We're not gonna be stopped like a statue, listen to the person. We're gonna make movements, we're gonna make sounds. Go on, go ahead, keep talking, to move the head, to show the person we are active listening. We are connected to this person. Sometimes you can repeat one, two, or three last words that the person says. For example, once a guy was talking to me on a building. He was in the window, and he said, after I have lost my father, everything went wrong in my life because I have a conflictuous relationship with my mother. I started using drugs. I quit university, and my life is a hell now because my father would protect me, would show me his love, but my mother doesn't understand me. He judges me and so on. And now I'm suffering, and I want to jump off this window. And after my father died, everything went wrong. And I would say, everything went wrong. He would repeat, yes, everything went wrong. When I said that, I could confirm to this person that I was attentive, I was listening, and I also validated his suffering. This is also a technique, to show that you are really listening to this person. And we also work with emotions. Yeah, it's a very interesting conception of emotion brought by the PhD in psychology named David Matsumoto. He wrote a book named Nonverbal Communication. This book was published in 2013. In the page 17, we're gonna find a definition for emotion, saying that emotion is a biopsychosocial reaction to some circumstances that's gonna require from us immediately action. It's one action or reaction that's gonna bring other actions. It occurs without our control. It's instinct. It's gonna be very short, 4 or 5 seconds only. And we do not control the emotion. We can control how we're gonna behave after the emotion comes. And he's gonna say that we have some basic emotions like anger, like sadness, fear, depiction, and for example, disgust. When a child, 2-year-old child comes to the kitchen and sees an apple, a red apple, on the table, maybe the child is hungry. The child can get this apple and bite it. But if the apple is rotten inside, it's not good inside, this child is going to feel disgust. Look, the emotions are going to be expressed in the face, and the child is feeling the disgust. It's instinct. The child has only 2 years old. Nobody taught the child like to have disgust. We are born with this, and this child is going to put the pieces of rotten apple out. This is going to protect the child, So look, reaction, disgust, and other action to put the pieces of rotten apple out. The emotion protected the child. So what we teach, we need to know more about scientifically, a view of emotions and how to deal with those emotions. And I would like to recommend a very wonderful book from Arun Gandhi, who is the grandson from Mahatma Gandhi. If I'm not wrong, I think Elsa put me once on a training with this wonderful man, and he wrote the book named The Virtue of the Anger, saying that the emotion of anger is going to create energy in our bodies to fight. Fear is going to create in our bodies energy to run, to fly, to flee, but anger to fight. In both cases, we have energy. They're gonna come to our body, potentialized by hormones, and what we do with this? We can be violent, of course, because this is also a survival instinct. Yeah, but nowadays, currently, we are civilized, so we cannot go, hitting people, being violent. We need to use the word. So and with this book, we're gonna learn how to deal with anger. Mainly, that's amazing, because Mahatma Gandhi is gonna teach us that he would end, to sew his clothes, he would walk, he would breathe, to calm down, and with his energy, he would fight to India to help his population, So this is an amazing book, Iron Gun, I repeat, and if you don't know, nonviolent communication, taught by Marshall Rosenberg, I think he's from the United States, is a theory of communication based on Mahatma Gandhi's life, you know. So that's very interesting. We have taught this to policemen, in Brazil. If you don't know, the country with more murders in the world. I'm not talking about rates. I'm talking about the crude number, the real number of murders. This country number one in the world is Brazil. Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, this piece of information, unfortunately. And what happens to our police here? They are facing violence, and sometimes they are violent too. So we have taught them how to use nonverbal communication and nonviolent communication. Nonviolent communication can be also used in suicide attempts. Are 4 steps for this. First one, observing without judging. Charles has said, without judgment, with no judgment. The first step of nonviolent communication is observing people, situations without judging. Secondly, identifying needs. Marshall Rosenberg is going to teach us that behind all type of aggressivity, there is a need that was not satisfied. Really interesting. When we identify a need or needs, we can redirect this person to put his or her energy to try a very good solution without violence. Third step of nonviolent communication, to work with emotions. I have just talked about emotions. In the book, the social animal. I think it's the title of the book. I'm not sure. From written by Elliot Aronson. Elliot Aronson, I think he is 96 years old now, and he is known for many researchers as the most important, social psychologist alive. In this book, Elliot Rossi is going to teach us that we are more instinctive emotions than we are reason. That's really interesting because of that, I need to learn about emotions, our instincts, our behavior, to deal mainly with crisis and suicidal crisis, And what really interesting thing about Elliot Ronson, he's going to teach us in his books that people who can do a crazy thing maybe is not a crazy person. Because when we are very emotional, when we are in despair, we can do things that can be seen as crazy. So despair, unfortunately, has this power to take us out of control. There is a film, a movie. I don't know how to say this in English. I don't know if you could help me. In Brazil, they would call it Divertidamente. They are drawings. They're going to talk about emotions. Silvia, have you heard about this book, Stevan? You know how to say this in English? This is the most seen movie film currently. It has broken all of the records, and it's a film that talks about emotions. It shows, in my point of view, our lack of knowledge about emotions. So, if you really want to prevent suicides, we need to learn more and to study about human behavior. There is a very famous book named The Art of the War. People think this book was written for soldiers, for generals, but in fact, the writer, the author, who is a general, Chinese general, military man, Su Zun, his name. He would say, the best general is that one who does not fight. The best victory win without fight. Diplomacy, negotiation, nonviolent communication, listening. You know, this is amazing. In this book, he's going to teach if I know myself and if I know my enemy. No, if I don't know myself and if I don't know my enemy, I will lose all of the battles. If I know myself, but if I don't know my enemy, I will win one battle and lose another battle. But if I know myself and know my enemy, I will win all of the battles. I will not fear 100 battles. You know, in this subject, our enemy is suicide. And we are human beings. We need to know about suicide. We need to know about human behavior, and social conditions so that we can prevent it. So we have taught this and shared this, and the results have been very positive. Okay, but I would like to listen to
Very
you
good.
more. I have seen that the time too is a little bit advanced, ahead, but I would like to listen to you more in comment something that could add in our talk. Okay.
Good, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to have you, all the knowledge, all the experience you have uh, fighting for those lives. And but unfortunately, our time is past 5 minutes, and I'd like to read, as I said, that letter. So, um,
Before you read the letter, can I say something? Because I think there is a very interesting quote by Nietzsche that he says, to live is to suffer, to survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. And I think this is very important because in the whole thing, what we need to fight for ourselves and others is we have to find meaning in our lives. Viktor Frankl, in his book, he talked about the experience he was in Auschwitz. He talks about that find meaning in the suffering. And I think that's one of the things that we are missing now. Everything is quick. Everything has to have a solution. Most children now are educated, not ever listening to the word no. And once they become teenagers or they grow, the world does not, the world will tell you no all the time. And I think that's why people get weakened. And they feel entitled, and if they don't have the answers, if they don't have what they want when they want it, sometimes they just think, oh, life's not worth it. So there is quite a lot of things as well that we needed to change, find a meaning in our lives, helping others and things is very important. Sorry.
See, I read the book. I think it's The Man's Search for a Meaning from by Viktor Frankl. What an amazing book! 100 pages, narrating, about his experience in Auschwitz and how he has seen so many suicides in Auschwitz, and he had to. He said to himself, "I need to find a strategy to keep alive here." Despite all of the suffering. And so he's gonna show the importance of meaning in our lives. And because of this book and because of his experience, he's gonna create a logotherapy, the therapy of the meaning. I highly recommend that you read this book. That's one of the best books I have read in my whole life. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
good. Okay, just to leave our message at the end. Uh, that's the letter. The day after my suicide, I fell in love with my husband. When I saw him in my room crying and holding on to my stained shirt, and photographs of me scattered all around him, I saw so much love in his eyes. The day after my suicide, I felt how much my parents loved me. even though they were often hard on me, in the middle of so much sadness. They spoke with tear filled eyes about how proud they were of me and how I had been kind to others. The day after my suicide, I realized that my dog, Bobby, was more amazing than I had ever imagined. Every time the lift door opened, he would run to the door, waiting to see me, and realizing it wasn't me, he would lie down again in front of the door and continue to wait for me. The day after my suicide, I was delighted by my siblings when I saw them sitting in the living room with their eyes filled with tears. Remember the times when we played together during our beautiful childhood. What a great time we had. The day after my suicide, I felt how much I had been loved and cherished by that dearest friends. He was looking at our pictures and remembering all the great times we had spent together. He cried because he hadn't been able to see me when he had asked to see him. The day after my suicide, I felt how important it was to spend time with my siblings. We played together and talked about our lives. We laughed late that night. I went to the morgue to find my body. It disturbed me. I looked at myself and said, we had so many dreams, so many loves, so many people still to meet, so many people who loved us, and yet we threw all it away. Thank God it was just a dream, and we are able to read, and you are able to read this. You are still here, and you can change your life. Things are not as bad as they seem. You have people who love you and want you close. Give life and the people around you another chance. That is healing for the pain. Open up to someone. You have already overcome so much. Just try again. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Next week, let me see if I can show very quickly here our topic. It is yes for life, and our special guest Karin Dietrich from Germany will be with us talking about yes for life. That's it. That's it from us. I want to say thank you, everyone, for your time, especially all the chats. Amy, was nice to have you very active in the chat. Thank you very much. Leandro, Lauren, our friends, thank you so much for being here. Lou VM, also one of your friends, Edir, Maria Rini from Bolivia. So Kira, so Laurie. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Edir, for accepting our invitation to be here with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know.
Okay,
Take
thank you.
care. God bless.
Cheers. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye.